Hey everyone, welcome to Patriot Resale Box, where I give you my commentary on the news of the day as reported by the Wall Street Journal. So, first up, there's a report saying that speed cameras don't actually deter people from, speeding. And by the way, if you ever wondered what the most common crime in the United States is, it's speeding. It's always a speed. They just push a little harder on the accelerator in your car. I mean, speed limits really, they haven't, they've been a thing for a while since there's been cars, but they first started, but speed limits first started getting super strict in the 70s when Carter set the national speed limit at 55. Another reason to hate Jimmy Carter, he set the national speed limit at 55. Like, you can't, like saying states couldn't go over that. And eventually it was raised up and up and up, and I've seen, like, in Texas there's somewhat 75. Yeah, the strict speed limits actually started under him. I mean, there's speed limits before, but again, like, the super strict rules, that was Carter. And he did it, like, to try to in theory, it was gonna reduce people's dependence on, like, reduce oil use. That the country could help alleviate its oil shortage, because the U.S. pissed off the Middle East. However, actually, it's the slower your car goes, the less efficient its engine is. And car engine are already inefficient anyway. Like, the most efficient car engine in the world is only 20% efficient. Like, it only uses 20% of the energy it produces. The rest is burned off as heat. So, like, given that it's already super inefficient of an engine anyway, the like, by the way, like, no engine is 100% efficient. But given that a car engine is like that anyway, the slower you drive, the less efficient it is, and so people are actually using more gas. Thanks, Carter. But yeah, the speed limit, like, they started putting up cameras to try to, in a lot of cities, like you might see them in your own hometown, like a bunch of cameras to make sure you don't run red lights or speed. And yet a lot of people still run right through the red lights or go right over the speed limit. Apparently some of, like, the worst cases are like in New Orleans, DC, Chicago, and New York, because big cities. Let's see. And the percent of, like, for example, the percent of, like, frequent offenders, like who are the frequent offenders are people who have received 5 or more speeding tickets in a year. 26.5% of people flagged in New Orleans for speeding, are like those frequent offenders. In DC, it's 16.5%, Chicago 13.6%, and New York 11%. And the fines there are kind of steep, or it's steep in some places. Like here where I live in Massachusetts, it's about, like, speed. I've gotten, like, a couple of tickets for, like, I've gotten, like, parking tickets for, like, just $25, like, just, like, 2. But a speeding ticket in somewhere like Mesa, Arizona, could cost you $280. In New Orleans, a speeding ticket costs you $75. That's wild. Like, yeah, like, I think speeding tickets here are $25 too. So, like, I thought Massachusetts was a cash grabbing state. Apparently, Louisiana and Arizona are pretty cash hungry. But yeah, they haven't done a whole lot. I mean, the number of cameras has soared in the past decade, but people still speed because people are still in a hurry. So yeah, and the cameras, like, I mean, they have they've had, like, a little effect, but there's still plenty of people who rack up, like there's one side official, there's one person who, like, thanks to, like, the tickets just piling up and the fines keep going higher because he hasn't paid him. He has almost $20,000 in speeding tickets. That's like, for that much money you could almost get yourself a new car, really, like, without any sort of down payment or anything. You could get yourself, like, if you just add like $1,000 or $2 more, he could have a nice sedan, and instead of all those parking tickets. That's wild. Also, now that Democrats have taken over Virginia, they've already set out their goals, like more gun control, more civil rights bills, like, not focusing on gay people, and minimum wage increases and all this. It's funny how hypocritical Democrats are, because remember, Ralph Northam, the governor of Virginia, he was the guy who dressed in blackface and KKK robes in high school, and is well documented in his yearbook. No Democrat cared about it. And one time on CNN, they, instead of having a little D after his name, they put R there during the time of the scandal. That's media manipulation for you right there. But yeah, they actually said that he actually said that he might use the National Guard to enforce his gun bans. the citizens of Virginia are like, come at me, bro. I really this actually if there's like if this came on the news, I would immediately flip on the TV and watch because that'd be quite the showdown to see this National Guard fighting people of Virginia. And this is what exactly the Second Amendment was written for. So the more Democrats threaten to use the military and the National Guard to enforce gun laws, the more they prove that we need a Second Amendment, right? Then Nancy Pelosi still obstructing her own impeachment and asking for essentially a quid pro quo, like she's accusing Trump of doing with Ukraine, because she says she's not going to send the articles to the Senate until she gets the deal she wants. And Mitch McConnell won't agree to their demands of the having of all the witnesses they want and whatnot. And Nancy Pelosi has no power in the Senate, so yeah, they're hoping to get a few Republican senators loyal to their side because it will take 51 senators, the Republicans have 53, to get the rules passed. So if they pick off three senators, they can turn the majority. They can balance it out, 50-50, and require Mike Pence to throw in the tiebreaker vote. Because that's the vice president's role. I think one of his few jobs is to be tiebreaker if the Senate is evenly split 50-50. But if they pick off 4 Republicans, then they can tip it in their favor. So that's not going to go well. Then also, a lot of lawmakers have said that on both sides of the aisle have said that the current impeachment is definitely as if Bill Clinton's impeachment didn't lower standards enough. This is going to dive even further because Clinton was at least impeached for crimes, perjury, and obstruction of justice, whereas abuse of power and obstruction of Congress, what Trump was impeached for, aren't actually criminal statutes. So by impeaching Trump, the standards for what counts as an impeachable offense has dramatically lowered to the point where it's not even a crime anymore. I mean, I actually think should Clinton really have been impeached? I mean, yeah, he lied, but it was a little thing a sexual relationship with the intern. Lying about that seems less severe than say lying about, I don't know, let's say he did with his wife and she did and sold 20% of America's uranium to Russia. That's treason. That's an impeachable offense. But lying about an inappropriate relationship, that's bad? Is it really impeachable? I mean, really? I don't know. But hey, now 2 out of 3 presidents who have been impeached for humiliating Hillary Clinton. So that's kind of funny. A lot of politics works, doesn't it? And I don't know. And I mentioned the other day that Boeing had issues with a space capsule. They have plans to fix the issue and whatnot, but whether NASA will let them try again is still debatable. I mean, they know for sure they're not letting any people on board Boeing's spaceship for a while, but NASA's still iffy about letting them try again. However, on over to the op-ed section, there's one titled "Santa, Where's My Hoverboard?" listing all inventions that could exist with current technology, or maybe in a year or two, but for some reason don't. The hoverboard, the repulsor tech that needed is not the the 2-wheel self-balancing thing that you can get on Amazon or at Walmart that explodes. The hoverboard that inspired the one from Back to the Future, that one. That we're close. I mean, I saw in Smithsonian Magazine a couple years back that someone they get a hoverboard like that to lift an inch off the ground. So we're getting there with the kind of repulsors necessary. Another invention mentioned would be an autonomous selfie drone, instead of having a selfie stick, having a drone with facial recognition camera be able to take your fly up high, find you in a crowd of people, and then take your picture. That would be awesome. I mean, in this day and age, first of all, people are I can't stick out my phone that far with my arm. I'll just have this longer stick to do it. And then people are that's still can't get as much as they want to see the background. Let's have a freaking drone do it. That'd be awesome. But why doesn't it exist? I don't know. Then there's all the you said maybe something called the author rather called Gridlock Go, having your car drive itself in a traffic jam, just inch forward a little bit as traffic did, and then if you start going over 5 miles per hour, it should like a warning beep for you to grab the steering wheel and the gas pedal again, so that you can take over. But for like those low speeds, it would be nice if you could like work or something, or call people, or whatever, or just stare at Facebook and Twitter, or instead of just waiting for traffic to move. That like the cameras and sensors there, they already exist, and like some cars are trying them out, but that should be like standard issue for cars, especially if you live in somewhere like Boston or New York where there's a bunch of traffic. Or let's see what else, like a smart mirror, for example, that could like tell you if your clothes match each other, like if you look actually presentable, or perhaps read your vital signs, see if you're healthy, or like be like a reminder sheet. Like imagine like having an eye mirror on your door or on your medicine cabinet. That would be awesome. Or let's see, where's some other ones? Oh yeah, like like a Bluetooth tester for fruit ripeness. Like so like SPF 50 soap, like essentially sunscreen soap that you could use. That would be cool. And then completely noise canceling earbuds for like college students, like if they don't want to listen to their hate speech or whatever. That would save us the rest of us a lot of angst. Like here, like we're like, just shut up, people already. But yeah, having them not be able to hear what we're saying, awesome. Or as I quote, it also want a device that records and writes transcripts of all my calls and meetings, stores security, privacy, maybe even a facial recognition camera in your lapel that could whisper in my ear via Bluetooth someone's name, job, and names of his kids, so you could end quote. All that stuff just like tell you about your work stuff just via simple devices on wearing your ear, suit, whatever. All the stuff they mentioned is just like, yeah, it's pop. Like, oh, and finally, a mouse for an iPad. I would love a mouse for my iPad. It would be so awesome. Instead of having to tap the screen. Like, I have a keyboard for it, but I really want a mouse. All this stuff, they don't exist. Like, this stuff doesn't exist. The tech to make it exists. So, they're saying, why we should, we want yeah, we should have this by now, but we don't. I, for one, I don't know about the selfie drone because I don't take a whole lot of selfies, but the Gridlock Go thing, the mouse, the smart mirror, I'd want that. Next up, there's the bipartisan spending party. Now, whenever you hear bipartisan, contrary to popular belief, you should not be excited. You should be mortified, or at least a little bit worried, because typically when lawmakers have a bipartisan solution, it typically is something that's only good for themselves, like a pay raise. Like when it's bipartisan, something's up. In this case, the bipartisan spending bill for discretionary spending is $1.4 trillion, further driving up the deficit. And the op-ed concludes by saying that Trump may beat Obama in terms of record spending. Now, the discretionary spending is everything but welfare. Isn't it funny that we call welfare mandatory spending, but everything else like defense, roads and stuff that the government should actually pay for, discretionary? We have to pay for welfare, and we can choose whether or not to pay for other stuff. The wording there is mind-boggling, first of all. But the amount of money being spent here is ridiculous. For example, in exchange for getting billions of dollars for the Space Force, Trump gave the Democrats $25 million for gun violence research. It's simple. Get rid of the gun laws and the gun-free zones, and voila, gun violence gone. In fact, I think we should mandate gun ownership and make and include a tax write-off for one gun per year. If you buy guns, during the year, you can write off one of them on your taxes. People will probably choose the most expensive one. So yeah, you could. So that as long as you can provide proof that you actually own the gun, then you should be able to get that as a tax write-off. Switzerland mandated gun ownership, and they have the lowest murder rate in the world. I don't think that's a coincidence. So, yeah, that would be a great idea. But yeah, $25 million for gun violence research. That was just sure. That's far. That's literally 1,000 times less than what the $22 billion Trump got for the Space Force. We're almost 1,000 times less. But still, that's ridiculous for that research. More waste. Also, $738 billion for defense. Okay, I think that's justifiable. 425 million election security grants. No, our elections are what we need is voter ID laws. More money for Medicaid for Puerto Rico and the EPA. Hell no. For Head Start and early child education program. You know, the more like preschool is actually bad for children's health. Do parents realize that? Psychologists agree. If kids aren't with their parents, like almost all, like at least with their mom, at least, and preferably their dad, but like at least their mom. If they're with their mom for like the first like 3 to 5 years of their life, which is when like the most critical part of their emotional development takes place, they're not gonna be not pretty well off later on in life. Like they need that, a lot of the time with their parents. So if you're gonna go ship them off to early childhood education, that's bad. And Democrats only want that because they want to enslave the kids in the school system and indoctrinate them as early as they can. But no, kids need that emotional development. Quit trying to put kids in the school system that early. Like 5 or 6 is fine. Mitch McConnell is raising the minimum age to buy tobacco to 21. It's already 21 in some states. Now it's 21 nationwide, or as soon as Trump signs the bill, that is. Let's see, what else? Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. That's still soaring. Like as far as costs. The only good news, some taxes were repealed, like the Obamacare Cadillac tax on high healthcare plans, that's repealed. Taxes on medical devices and health insurance, that's also repealed. So that's good. That's the good part. And the other good part is the government still works. Well, maybe that's not a good part. Who knows? But everything else is bad. Yeah, another sucky bill that bipartisan, bad. Usually that is. Then Congress, again, desperate for money, is now it used to be that you could, in your will, like if you're old and you have an IRA, you could say that you're not going to spend it all. You can will it to one of your kids or grandkids or whatever. Now, and it could last for over a century if people kept adding to it and passing it on, and it would avoid taxes. However, now Congress is shortening the time you keep it from forever, really, up to 10 years. Like after you pass it on to someone, only 10 years. They can only have it for 10 years, and then they got it. And then it's all gone. Except if it's, what are the rules? Except for let's see, spouses, minor children, and heirs who are disabled or chronically ill. So if you're not passing your IRA off to the person you're married to, your children who are, still minors, which, if you're old enough to where you're cashing an IRA, unless you're, Trump and you marry someone, half your age, then you're not going to have any minor children when you die. Pretty much guaranteed. And then, or to an heir who's or to the disabled chronically ill. If your kid ain't crippled or super ill, or your grandkid or cousin or whatever, then they're gonna have to spend as much they're gonna have to take out as much money as they can within 10 years, which is bad because currently IRAs you can take it out little by little, so you're only paying a little bit of tax on. You take it all at once like that within 10 years, then your tax rate goes even higher, and you lose a lot of money that someone spent a lot of hard time and effort putting into. So now a lot of people are going to have to call their estate advisors to see, how to dodge these rules. But yeah, it's the IRA is it's a good idea to pass it on. We had a good system before, just pass it on to your kids. They'll use the money. Maybe they'll go who knows? If they blow it on a trip to Disneyland or on some other fun vacation, they're still using the money, and it's not being heavily taxed. But the law does not apply to people who die before December 31st, 2019. So if you have an IRA and you will it, and you're willing it to someone be your kid, grandkid, or whatever, and then you have about 12 days left to die before the new law applies to them. So yeah, how nice of Congress to give you 12 days to die if you want to go by the older rules. How nice. Finally, contrary to what Democrats say, the tax bill has helped workers quite a bit. I mean, yes, it's driving up the deficit. That's another problem. But as far as short-term gains for workers, they're doing pretty well. People across the board are doing well, and and but blue collar workers are disproportionately benefiting. And President Trump said that between within 3 to 5 years after the bill's passage, people will be their family incomes will increase on average by $4,000. We're pretty close to realizing that. Remember, this is what Nancy Pelosi called crumbs, ignoring the fact that about 60% of Americans can't afford a surprise $500 or $600 bill. So an extra $4,000 a year will be huge for these people. And people are apparently liberals are lamenting that their tax returns were lower last year. But the reason for that is that they're taking less money in the first place. Remember I said if let's say a store's price for some good is $12 and you give them a 20, the cashier gives you back 8. Then let's say they drop the price down to 9 and you give them a 10 and they give you back 1. Would you be freaking out because they gave you back $7 less? Of course not, because you paid less. The reason your tax return is lower is because you paid less in taxes in the first place. I'm not sure why that's so hard to grasp, but apparently it is. Yeah, jobs are up, cash is up. Oh, and it's actually, instead of increasing 4,000, it's increased by 6,000. Average family income is increased by 6,000. That's huge. Really, $6,000. It may not seem like a lot, but really, over time, that's a lot of money, and it's really going to help a lot of people. Also, the Congressional Budget Office in 2017, under the if you know anyone some of the idiot liberal social media pages say that we're just living in Obama's economy, tell them this: that in 2017, just as soon as Trump took office, so when the Obama rules were still in full effect, the Congressional Budget Office predicted that by this point in time, so in almost 3 years, only about 2 million jobs would be added to the economy. The actual number is 7 because Trump got rid of a lot of Obama's laws and implemented some of his own that worked better. So people who say that Trump is a moron, first of all, how do you get as far in business as he did as a moron? And second, clearly he's doing something right. I mean, the economy's doing far better than it was under Obama. That's all I got for you on this episode of Picture Your Soapbox. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more great daily content.